Hello everyone, this is Sandesha of MSc 3rd semester. Today I am presenting on my topic oxygen cycle for the theory assignment of a paper Principles of Environment Biology. So we start. As we all know, the air is a mixture of gases. The air in the atmosphere is composed of different gases. Which are namely nitrogen, which takes up 78% of the air, oxygen takes 21%, and other gases, including argon, they make up 1% of the atmosphere or air, precisely. Oxygen is one of the most vital elements on Earth and the most common element of the human body. It constitutes 65% of the mass of the human body. Otherwise, oxygen is also present free in the air or dissolved in water, and hence it is second only to the nitrogen in abundance among other elements in the atmosphere. Our main topic here is oxygen cycle. Oxygen cycle is the biogeochemical cycle. The word itself explains it, that oxygen atoms they move between different oxidation states, be it in ions or oxides and molecules through redox reactions within and between the reservoirs of the planet Earth. Reservoirs, that is, reservoirs for oxygen in that sense. So ultimately, the oxygen cycle helps move oxygen through the atmosphere, the biosphere, and the lithosphere. If we go one by one, then atmosphere is the region that lies above the Earth's surface, and it is one of the largest reservoirs of free oxygen on Earth. Then biosphere is the sum of all the Earth's ecosystems, and also it has some free oxygen produced from the photosynthesis and life processes. Then lastly, lithosphere. It is the largest reservoir for oxygen, but most of this oxygen is not free moving, rather than it is part of chemical compounds. So what is the sources of oxygen in the oxygen cycle? What are the sources? So that's a common knowledge that plants and animals in particular, they use oxygen to respire and return it to the air and water as carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is then taken up by algae and terrestrial green plants and converted into carbohydrates through the process of photosynthesis, of which oxygen is a byproduct. So the carbohydrates which are produced by these photosynthetic organisms, they ultimately give rise to oxygen given to the environment. Now, the system is similar in the water systems. The water systems on Earth, they are the main oxygen generators of the biosphere because of the presence of an algae, which are estimated to replace about 90% of all the oxygen which is used. Oxygen is involved to some degree in all the other biogeochemical cycles also, because it is interconnected. In atmosphere, for example, photolysis takes place, where a high energy UV rays of sunlight breaks the molecular oxygen, that is O2, and that is into atomic oxygen O, which when combines with another molecule of free oxygen, they lead to the formation of ozone, that is O3. O plus O2 gives O3. Then in biosphere, oxygen cycle is interconnected with the carbon cycle. Obviously, carbon makes a major component in the living organisms, and oxygen is important for their metabolism. So they are all related. So the oxygen cycle in biosphere is influenced by respiration in animals and photosynthesis in plants. If we discuss that precisely, And animals, they take up oxygen, we know that, and during respiration, they release carbon dioxide, which is then taken up by the plants for photosynthesis. Now, this brings oxygen back to the atmosphere. In lithosphere, oxygen is trapped within the minerals such as silicates and oxides by the natural process of oxidation when a pure element comes in contact with the free oxygen. So most of the time these trapped oxygen remain in such state. But in order to obtain oxygen from um, these reservoirs in lithosphere, we can perform chemical withering. Of course, it can be natural as well as man-made or artificial. So, from all these discussions, we can ultimately decide that understand how oxygen moves from one state to another within the atmosphere of Earth. So we can conclude that the processes that produce oxygen are photosynthesis and sunlight, and the ones which consume, they include breathing, decomposition, combustion, and rusting. And all these are mainly involved in maintaining the level of oxygen in atmosphere. With this, I would like to conclude my topic. Thank you.